live.
And we're live. And we're live. And we're live. Hello, everybody. I'm Keenan. A few days before Christmas. Happy Hanukkah to those people who are watching who do not celebrate Christmas. But Hanukkah, I think we're on day 4 of Hanukkah. So happy Hanukkah. Merry Christmas. Becc, what are you doing for the holidays?
I don't know. Maybe I'll default to what's his name? The scientist. The scientist that basically said you can know where you are or you can know where you're going, but you can't know both.
Which scientist?
It's some scientist who said that. It's called a theory. So I know where I am, but I don't know where I'm going.
Okay. So, what's your favorite Christmas movie, Becc?
Oh, this is going to be exposing Love Actually. I love Love Actually.
Is Love Actually a Christmas movie?
Keenan has not seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's not even a Christmas movie.
It's a Christmas movie. Of course, it's right around Christmas. It's like everything's about Christmas.
In that case, is Home Alone a Christmas movie as well?
Home Alone is a Christmas movie.
Absolutely.
That's a Christmas movie. That's a Christmas movie. Okay. Now, the real question is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Oh, that's 100%.
To weigh in, I would have had to have seen it.
Okay. Yeah, well.
So that's what Beck's plans are for Christmas, is that she's going to watch all the Die Hard movies.
Oh, no. Emily in Paris, Saison Toi came out today, so that will be my Christmas plan. Never mind. Season 3 is out today. Happy Emily in Paris Day to all.
I know it. When we were in Paris, Becc actually made me go eat dinner at the place where she met that little boy across from her house.
Gabriel.
Or something. Like she literally made me like live the Emily in Paris experience.
It's like best night of my life.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. I was in it. There you go. I was part of the best night of my life.
Season 3 is coming out today. For all, I think we should just end the podcast and we should just all go start watching it, binge watching it. It's my genuine take.
Well, on that note, in preventing an early close.
Is Stepdad a Christmas movie? Is that the one, Stepdad?
Stepdad
with
is
Marky
a Christmas movie. Yes.
Step Brothers. I don't know, but Step
Brothers is definitely not a Christmas movie.
Great movie, though.
Wait, what's the one with Will Ferrell and Marky Mark? And then they did a remake in Mel Gibson. Is that Stepdad?
That's Step Brothers, I believe.
Step Brothers.
Yeah, that's Step Brothers.
No, Step Brothers is Will Ferrell and that dude with the
who's had never been kissed.
Yeah, no, Stepdad. So Will Ferrell is a stepdad to these 2 kids, and Marky Mark is their real dad. Comes in with a motorcycle jacket, and he's trying to be cool. And Will Ferrell's a cheesy dad and then so they have a second one, Stepdad 2, that's over Christmas with John Cena.
You're talking about Daddy's Home.
Daddy's Home. Daddy's Home number 2. Is that a Christmas?
Daddy's Home, I would consider a Christmas
I'm going to ask this question to you, Keenan. Is the movie in color? You know what I mean? I'm just asking. I don't know it. It's a relevant question, but everyone needs to watch Step Brothers. That's a great movie.
Yeah, that's classic. I completely agree. Nothing to do with Christmas.
My favorite line is when he says, we're selling the house. And then I think it's Will Ferrell. He goes, "Why is it haunted?"
He put his nuts on my sticks. Or the drum, or whatever it was. That was good. That was good. Okay, now we have to put the explicit rating on. Now we have to put the explicit rating on, just because I said that. All right, let's go. All right, everybody. I'll start again. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Top to Bottom. I am your host, Keenan. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and Merry Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah. I know it's day 4. Becc, what are you doing for Christmas?
Watching season 3 of Emily in Paris all the way through unrepentantly.
Right, so I'm cutting off the first 2 minutes? Okay, I got you.
That was the best 2 minutes of the podcast.
Well, on to the first segment of this podcast, which is Email Teardown. This is the segment where we tear down emails and messages that were sent over to Becc and Keenan. Now, on to the first one. It's right here. Perfect.
Hey, Michelle Myers-Swittenberg. Merry Christmas to you too, baby. Oh, I love Michelle. She's cool.
This one I had to put in the subject line for everyone to see. The subject is, are you a recruiter? You'll love it. And it says, hi, Keenan. How much time could you save if you have an app that would sort through millions of profiles? Finding experienced tech talent is a challenge for startups and enterprises. Avena can help you find the right people with skills and expertise quickly. Click here to get started. Best, whoever the project manager was. Keenan, what are your thoughts on this one?
I mean, you said it as the producer. You already said it. The subject line says it all. What I really need to do is I need to take this email. I need to be like, call these people because they need us more than we need them. The idea that she knows ahead of time that she could be sending her email to someone who's not a recruiter is baffling to me. Yes, I don't know. I know I have red bars. I have no idea why. I don't know what to tell you.
You're
I'm in the same seat on the same computer doing everything. So let Becc answer the question. I'll see if I can close something down and fix it.
Becc, what do you think about this email right here?
Yeah, so I want to tear into two things, no pun intended. The first thing that I want to tear into is I'm going to leave the recruiter line alone. But the first thing I want to tear into is the self-diagnosis question. They are rampant. In every email I see is self-diagnosis questions that are asking your buyer to envision, diagnose, assess something, quantify something that is your job to quantify. So, she basically says, how much time could it save you if you had an app that went through millions of profiles? How could Keenan even answer that? Like, he wouldn't even know. So the first is a self-diagnosis question. The second is using benefit language, not problem-centric language. So anytime you're saying save time, save money, more time, more money, waste time, waste money, you're in Benefitville, but not in Problemville. Problemville is something that you can't do because of a process or a tool, a metric that you can't hit, goal that you can't achieve. But those are the two biggest things that are glaring to me.
Actually, on to the next email, or this one's a message from LinkedIn.
Keenan, you're better. You look great.
Oh, yeah. Well, basically 4K at this point. But this one says, hello, Becc. What would it mean to your top line revenue if you saw a 70% increase in contact rates, 50% improvement in closes, and 40% increase in quota hitting sales reps? Let's find a few minutes to talk about how we could provide these results to our clients. I'm available this week. Can we sync up? Click the calendar link below. Becc, what is your thoughts on this message?
Again, with the freaking self-diagnosis question. What would it mean to your top line revenue if you saw a 70%? You're asking me to do the math, which is your responsibility, and you're asking me to statistically do something that would be incorrect because I'm not an expert. That's all I'm going to say. Keenan's crystal clear now, so why don't you close this out, Keenan?
Look, I can't even see how much time I get. I'm probably going to walk into a horn.
Just at 1 minute.
105.
So here's the problem, right? When you ask someone what would it mean, that you're asking them to focus on the future state, right? What's the vision? If I don't have a problem, then that doesn't matter to me. I don't necessarily want more. It's not going to resonate. You got a problem-centric sell, so you got to start with, are you struggling getting the meetings you want? You got to steer people to looking into their organization today. When people lead with vision and outcomes and say, what would it mean, or how would you like to get? It's not believable. That's the second piece. It's not believable. You have no credibility because someone's like, well, how the fuck can you make a claim you're going to get me 70% more? You don't know my business. You don't know how I do it today. You don't know what our numbers are today. So there's nothing credible or believable about it. So people just turn it off right away. And here's the cool part. You don't get them thinking. Your whole email should get them thinking about where they are today and thinking, ooh, should I get this? Ooh, do I need this? That's what it's about. And these emails don't do that.
Oh, you came out 3 seconds early. I was so excited to siren you out.
I want those 3 seconds back on my next one.
Gosh.
Rollover. I want my rollover seconds.
Well, on to the next segment of this podcast, which is
Sales Mythology.
This is the segment where we demystify common myths in the sales industry. So the first sales myth we'll be going to Keenan first today is doing webinars as a small company with a small following.
That's take it or leave it.
Oh, sorry, my bad. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. Salespeople must always.
Coal in your stocking.
I know. I'm on Santa's naughty
list.
What
if Min's line just was like deleted immediately? One mistake in your house.
I know. I just get cut off on the podcast. But the first sales myth of today is salespeople must always be professional. Keenan.
I want to know the definition of professional. Mm-hmm. So I don't want this to be me. I want to have a conversation with Becc. Becc, what is the definition of professional?
Something that someone does like as a full-time to earn wages is how I would define it. We can look it up.
No. But the question is, does a salesperson have to be professional? That's a profession. But what does it mean to, because this is a behavior. We're talking about a behavior. What does the behavior of, how are we defining the behavior of professional?
Well, I didn't come up with this myth, but I'm assuming what it means is that salespeople always have to be super like rigid or buttoned up. Min, is that fair?
I think that's fair. What about you, Keenan? What do you think?
So I don't know the definition of professional. So what I'll do here is I'll say this. My definition of professional is that you don't call people names, mm-hmm. that you are your authentic self. Mm-hmm. Right? That you go out of your way to make a difference. You make sure the basics. You do what you say you're gonna do. Mm-hmm. If you say you're gonna be somewhere at a certain time, you're there on a certain time. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't mean to me you wear certain clothes. It doesn't mean you have to wear a suit and tie. It doesn't mean you have to, have a certain haircut or you have to be shaved. It doesn't mean to me that you can't swear. It doesn't mean that you can't be casual. So I really, the answer to me is no. Because I think the definition by most people of professional is this level of buttoned up, don't upset anybody, don't challenge anybody, toe a certain line, etc. So that was longer. Sorry, Becc. So my answer is no. You don't have to be professional. You just don't have to be unprofessional.
What about you, Becc?
Better not be unprofessional.
Yeah, so this is a big topic to me that's been in my mind quite a bit recently. I think that there's a natural right now in the market aversion to being professional, which I have a distaste for, meaning people don't think anymore that they should, put themselves together and that they should come prepared and that they can just show up in their sweatpants and that they can, do whatever they want, say whatever they want, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. To me, the harm in viewing that you should always be professional is I should always speak in a certain way. Looking forward to it, Jim. Can't wait for the synergy that's about to, in your language. I think that you can be not less formal, but less like textbook. But I always am going to lean towards the side of to show respect to someone else, that you should show up prepared. To Keenan's point, that you should show up on time, that you should at least think about the way that you're dressing and how you're putting yourself together and like how you're coming across as a respect mechanism to the person in the room. So I don't think that this is to me, and this is going to be a big topic and maybe I'm going to go viral for all the wrong reasons, but I hear this whole thing of bring your whole self to work. And I'm like, isn't that the definition of being personal? Bring your work sides to work from my perspective. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't talk about things that are affecting you, that are affecting your work. But I never, in practice, Keenan, I never hear you go on a long diatribe about your personal life. I don't hear you talk publicly about your personal life at all. Same here.
Talk about my girls. I talk about my girls.
Yeah, you do. But I don't hear an overwhelming amount. And to your point on name calling and taking shots, I think all of that to me, it needs to be left out of the room from my perspective of now there's a time and a place. And if your profession is talking about that, meaning you're a therapist or you're a, yada, 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 I think that there's a time and a place for that. But from my perspective, I think you should show up prepared. You should think about how you dress. You should think how you're coming across. You should think about how much you research. And all of that is a mechanism to the other person in the room of how much you respect them, how much you respect yourself, from my perspective.
So I think we should dig deeper on this one rather than jumping to the next one. There's no limit here. I don't think the question was asked properly. The question was, should a salesperson always be professional? And I think the question should have been, what is the definition of professionalism today? Right? Mm-hmm. And so you brought up this idea of bringing a whole person, and then you explained some concerns around that. I agree bringing a whole person as well, but I think the problem with that when it comes to defining professionalism is too many people are in jobs that don't align with who they are as people. Mm-hmm. Right? So they're in a job that they don't really want to be doing, or they're in a job that they're just in to make a paycheck that doesn't align with their value sets. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean that it's against their value sets, but maybe value is the wrong word. It doesn't align with who they are, what they like to do, what they value, what they enjoy. And so when they bring their person to it, it doesn't align, right? It's almost like someone who works for, who hates sports, but they're working for the Rams because they've got a good job and it pays them well. And then they bring their whole person to the table, and they couldn't care less about football. They couldn't care less about competitive nature. As a matter of fact, they think competition is a problem, and they think these people are killing themselves and with the head injuries and blah, blah, blah. So of course you bring your whole person to the table. It's going to be an issue, right? So professionalism isn't just how I interact with you, Becc, or you, man, or a potential buyer, but professionalism is how well do I align my identity with the job that I choose to do? Who am I as a person? Am I choosing jobs that fit with my identity, fit with my persona, so that when I bring my whole person to the table, it naturally adapts itself to professionalism, right? That's one of the reasons I'm an entrepreneur. My personality is such that I cannot work for large corporations because you're a bunch of fuckwads, and I don't handle fuckwads well. My whole person does not handle politics well. It does not handle bullshit. So I didn't do well in the corporate world because they thought me unprofessional. Why? When my boss told me to do something, I said, why? That doesn't make sense. I thought this was the goal. Why are we doing this? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Just do it, Keenan. We have to. No, I don't want to do something that makes no sense. No, I don't. If this is the goal, this is what we got to do. I'm not going to appease Mary because Mary fucking has a little lamb. So anyways, yes, I think we really need to define the concept of professionalism.
Well, I think that people mistake giving someone a limited amount of information about you for being inauthentic. And that they also mistake that if I give someone a lot of information about you, that is authentic. That I'm like, hey, being authentic means telling the truth, like to your point of asking the questions in a critical way and like operating authentically in the capacity of work, right? That doesn't mean necessarily giving a whole bunch of personal information. I'll give you an example. Keenan knows this. Min knows this. My family knows this. I'm extremely private. That is how I operate. That's how I was born. That's how
I know all about
am today, that I'm not comfortable with that. And so I don't go on long diatribes about what I'm doing or what I'm up to or da-da-da. And that doesn't make me inauthentic. That actually makes me authentic, that I'm uncomfortable sharing that information to masses of people. So I think that the mistake that people make is they think that oversharing is being authentic, and that it's appropriate. In a lot of cases, it's not appropriate. And I've seen people recently, like I read a post the other day and they're like, hey, remember when you had to dress in suits and that's BS, and like now we should just wear our sweatpants. And I'm like, well, now you can wear your sweatpants, but the question is like, should you? That's a question that you have to answer for yourself. And I get really razzed up about this because I don't think that we should dog people who do want to show up in a suit and do want to wear a button up and like, etc. Like, I can't tell you the amount of times that I've shown up in a blazer, a lady blazer, and they're like, you're so overdressed. Like people around me, will be like, oh, you're so overdressed. I'm like, why? Because I wore a blazer? Like, to me, that's a pretty respectful move.
We switched from being overdressed to underdressed. Sorry. We switched from people being underdressed. Hey, you're underdressed. Now you're overdressed.
And to me, it makes me really uncomfortable. So I would just, think about all that stuff whenever you think. I certainly, the punchline is, I don't think that we should dog people for erring towards that. Are we at the buzzer, Min? Min was getting buzzer tricky.
Oh, we didn't even talk about language yet.
I know.
But, I was waiting. I'm not sure if you could tell. I need to put my camera a little bit up so you don't see when I'm reaching over for the siren.
Speaking of
what Bogdan said. Bogdan C said professional as in serious about the task at hand. Yes. Professional as in thinking being all suited up and formal makes you good at your job. No. So that was good. Good job, Bogdan.
Yes. Because I'm like, yeah. I'm not silly. I make jokes, but I'm very serious about my work.
You're not silly either.
Keenan knows that. Like, I'm very serious by nature with my work, and I don't think that that's a bad thing. But I do make jokes. Sometimes not funny, but I still make jokes.
It's all about effort.
On to the next segment, which is Take It or Leave It.
Oh, my favorite segment. I got something I want to do, too. So, wait, everybody. Just take a pause. Everybody, take a pause.
Go ahead. I'll just explain this segment, or as it should be. This is the segment where I introduce common sales tactics, and Keenan and Becc let us know whether they would take it or leave it. Beautiful.
The science principle, if anyone was wondering, which I know we weren't, is the Heisenberg principle. It's the uncertainty principle. You can know where you are or where you're going or the momentum, but you can't know both.
Well, I know that it's Christmas and I'm going fucking around the world to deliver presents.
Okay, I think we should alter this segment just a little bit and call it naughty or nice. So y'all tell me if this segment is naughty or nice.
That is awesome. Way to go, Min. That is perfect.
Christmas week is lit.
It is lit.
Well, the first naughty or nice is doing webinars as a small company with a small following. Becc, naughty or nice?
I'll say nice. Yeah, I would always do webinars. I think especially as a small company, it's a great way to drive inbound traffic and get a lot of traction before you have a lot of headcount. So I'm going to say absolutely nice.
Yeah, I'm going to say nice as well. Look, I don't think you can ever say naughty for creating content. I think too many people get caught up in nobody attends webinars anymore and they're a waste of time, etc. Look, if you overproduce it, it's going to cost you, right? But you don't need to overproduce it. You get a good topic, do it for 30 minutes, invite a bunch of people. If no one shows up, fine. Then take the content and repurpose it all over the place. So 100% nice. And you're a fool if you think making content any way, shape, or form is naughty.
All right, the next one of naughty or nice is the more calls you make, the more sales you make. Keenan, naughty or nice?
Because there's no keep-it in this naughty and naughty.
I know. I was like nicety.
Yeah. Nicety. Not ice. The more calls you make. All right, as a general rule of thumb, and because she pulled out some Heisenberg principle of shit. Heisenberg principle, I'm going to pull out some we all know and love, and that's relativity. So based on relativity, the more calls you make, the more sales you're going to make. So because I can't pick a TVIT, which is fine, I'm going to go with nice. Because if you make shitty messages and you're shitty on the phone and you only make one connection every 100 calls. If you make 200, you're probably going to get 2 calls. You make 400, you're going to get 4. So from that perspective, relativity speaking, always making more calls will always drive you more business. Now, that doesn't mean it's the right approach to get more business, but yes, it's nice.
All right, what about you, Becc? Naughty or nice?
So what is the definition, or what was it?
The more calls you make, the more sales you make, or sales is inherently correlated to activities.
Okay, that's a curveball at the end. You can't switch the question.
Take out the second half.
I'm gonna swing naughty then. Like I within relativity, to Keenan's point. Now, it's nice if it doesn't affect quality. Then of course, if you're gonna make several different gingerbread houses and you're like more the better. But if it starts to impact quality, how much research that you're doing, how much you know the buyer beforehand, that's when it's going to turn naughty. Here's the thing, and then I'm going to be quiet. Most people that I see that advocate for low activity, I dig in. I'm like, okay, let's dig into the calls or dig into the emails because you spent so much time on them. They're like, yeah, I want to be personalized. And I dig in and I'm like, this is a template, Brendan. There wasn't research behind it, but generally speaking, I'm going to say naughty, but it shouldn't be something that people hide behind.
Gotcha. And the last naughty or nice for today is you'll close more deals with more social proof. So testimonials, raving reviews, etc. Becc, naughty or nice?
I'm going to say social proof to the masses, naughty. I don't think so. I don't think that. I think, but social proof, if it's someone that they know peer to peer, that's going to be the strongest way to drive business, is peer to peer. That's what Crunchbase would, or Forrester reports would show you, is that peer to peer is going to be the strongest. So it's not ice. Sorry, Keenan.
Hi, what about you, Keenan? Naughty or nice?
Naughty, nice, what? Social proof?
Yeah, you close more deals.
You won't close more business with social proof. You'll get more leads with social proof. So I will say, as questioned, it is very much a nice. The more people, bottom line, the more people that know you, the more people will connect with you.
That was your 3-second rollover, Keenan, from last.
Get my minutes rolled over. Ho, 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 ho. Merry Christmas.
Now on to the next segment, which is
the inbox.
My favorite segment.
Yeah, this is. I mean, you got Santa's letters, man. It should have been called 100%. Santa's letters today.
I know.
And we can just play this whole thing all the way out.
I think I'm the elf, though.
Yeah, you are. Totally, you're an elf.
Well, this is the segment where Becc and Keenan answer questions from our audience. Now,
we got a really good active audience today. I like this audience today. They're getting engaged. They're asking questions. They're participating. That's good. Good audience today.
They need. Whose hat do you like better, Keenan's or mine? And only come into the chat if it's mine.
Right. You just pulled an Elon Musk, and she's not gonna like the answer.
If we have a little bit of time.
Whose hat do you like better?
Yeah, goodness gracious.
If we have a little bit of time, I see some of the comments or questions. I'll bring them up if we have any time after these.
I'm wondering if we should switch platforms to the one that shows the comments in the.
I know, because I can't see them.
I'm not necessarily married to this platform. Sorry, Social Live, but anyways.
Hey, you might see a brand new platform come 2023. This question is from Andrew Batista from Austin, Texas. Hi, Becc and Keenan. Love the podcast. I was just wondering what you guys look for when hiring people, whether sales reps or just people in general. Keep doing what you're doing. Keenan, why don't you start us off with this one?
Oh, my God. I'm a sucker. So I look for people who've had life experience. First and foremost, I want someone – one of the questions I ask in an interview is tell me about a time in life that you were in serious trouble, had a huge problem, were stuck in something, and how did you get out of it? And if they don't have a good answer, I'm not inclined to hire them. Now, as much as I like that, I got to get better at looking at a few other things. I found a couple of people who really turned their lives around and showed that temerity to persevere and have drive, but it didn't translate into the job. And to this day, I'm still trying to figure that out, right? But for me, first and foremost, is I want someone with drive and commitment and pride around getting shit done. I want doers. To the nth degree. Everything else to me is gravy. Everything else is the topping. The meat is doer. And unfortunately, there aren't that many doers in the world.
All right, what about you, Becc? What do you think?
Yeah, number one thing I look for, hands down, and I never hear it mentioned among hiring criteria, is accountability. Are they accountable to their failures, and are they accountable for their own success? That's the main driver. Now, to Keenan's credit, life experience and background oftentimes are a root cause to accountability. So you'll see that pop up, because of life experience. But accountability, and the other one that I don't hear mentioned very often, but that I look for, I think accountability is the rarest. So that's what I look for first. But the second, by far, is acumen. Mm-hmm. Like, how quickly can you pick concepts up and execute? So it's the first half is, will they execute? The second half is, can they? Kind of thing. Those are my two.
Okay. On to
They're
the next.
They're hard to test for, aren't they, Becc? They're hard to test for.
Yeah, they are.
All right, well, on to the next question. This one's from Lily Grice from Raleigh, North Carolina. She asks, what do I do with sales reps who have hit quota early then slack off the rest of the quarter? Should I just leave them be or push them to exceed quota and actually do work the rest of the quarter? Becc, why don't you start us off on this one?
I would say it depends on if they hit truly early or they're pacing really well early. A lot of times, at least in my experience, you get to like 90 on day 3, and then you sandbag it the whole month, and then you're stuck at day 28, and you're like, crap, I didn't hit that last 10%, and it's too late to do something about it. My general opinion, everyone's going to hate me, but sales reps are going to love me. I'm like, you set the quota, and they're past it, so unless they have a problem that they can't solve, that they want to solve, which would be like comp, some kind of mortgage at home, blah, blah, like they're past quota, so there's going to be a natural, usually, deceleration. Now, I try to hire the kind of people who wouldn't do that, but, you know, I'd say Merry Christmas. Go do your thing.
What about you, Keenan? What do you think?
I agree. I agree with Becc. They set the quota, and if someone makes it and made the yearly quota and it's fucking July and the rest is all gravy, they can do whatever the hell they want. However, though, what I think people don't think about is if you have set or created a culture where somebody actually wants to do that or is perceived as being a valuable employee for doing that, I don't blame the employee, I blame the culture. I have myself been in situations where I was that person, but culturally I didn't want to be perceived as someone who just stopped. I didn't want that. So there you go.
I was the opposite in my 20s. I like hit quote, I'm like, bye.
Oh no, I just piled on.
Like I hit it within like 10 or 15 hours, and early I had to get kicked in the teeth, but you know, in my early on my career. But I'm like, dude, I'm past quota. I spent 5% of my time smearing in everyone else's face, and then the rest of the time out with my friends.
See, but I want to see if you and I worked together at the same time, although you were 100 years younger than me. You would have done that, right? And then I would have crushed you, and I would have said, well, you stopped. Guess who's the greatest salesperson of all time at this company? Me. Sorry, not you. Right? Because I kept wanting to set records. It's like, all right.
That wouldn't have happened because you and I worked together. I would always outrun you, Keenan.
Well, you just a second ago, you were telling me, see how she changes the story? She was telling me, peace out.
I would always outrun you.
Oh, my God.
I should stay away from the blast zone. Well, on to the next segment of this podcast, which is the challenge. The challenge.
The challenge. It looks like the Grinch. The challenge.
Well, this is the segment where Keenan and Becc break down a challenging subject within the sales industry. And today's challenge is what to do when your prospects don't know, or even worse, won't give you the data that you need in discovery. Becc, why don't you start us off?
Damn it, man. When the finger comes up,
I'm sorry. I was starting it off, and then I see the little lag of you pulling the finger up. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Becc, don't let her manipulate you. You just stick. You are the producer.
No, he doesn't want you to manipulate him, so he can.
Nope.
Full time.
No, we got a plan. Stick to the plan.
Okay, so what to do? I think those are two different use cases. When they don't know it, and when they won't give it to you. If they won't give it to you, in my experience, I want to go into preventative first. When they won't give it to you, apart from NDA stuff, sometimes they can't at enterprise level, because of NDA. And so I try to do like a relative speaking game in terms of percentages. If like I'm going quota, I'm like, okay, hypothetically, where's the quota? But I'm always going to plug for the information of if they won't give it to me, usually it's because they see me as a sales rep. They see me as someone who's not on their team. And so they don't want to give up all that information because they're scared I can leverage it against them, number one. Or number two, they're scared that I can hold my price point because I know how big the gap is. So I think from a preventative perspective, if they understand, at least in my experience, very early on in the conversation, that your questions are geared after diagnosing truly, and they can feel it in the room. When I made that pivot, all of a sudden people realized just from the qualitative perspective that I was after helping them. And so they started giving over tons of information when they knew it was like Doctorville. But if they don't know the information, They don't know the information. It's actually a really valuable exercise to make them go find it. I'll give you an example. I'm working with a client, and I said, and a lot of these are benign questions. I was like, so how many cold calls are they making per day? I don't know. I said, okay, so can you share your screen in turn? Are you comfortable sharing your screen, for your outreach instance? They're like, yeah. They share it. I said, go click on reports, go click on people, hybrid it down to 30 days. And then they uncovered it and they were like, holy crap, it's 4. And I'm like, and I just pause on the line. That's something that they didn't know. So it's not only for me, but it's for them to know some of this data. So in both instances, I'm always going to try and go after that data so I know how to diagnose appropriately. But from a prevention perspective, if they won't hand it over, it's usually because you're being too, your agenda is to sell them. They can feel that, and so they're choking it back. So my advice would be to pivot to the mindset of diagnosis fill, and they'll feel it as a result, and they'll go on a journey with you to find that data and lobby it up if they do know it.
All right, what about you?
When did you make the switch?
I have made the switch.
Becc said when I made the switch.
I already gave you a Christmas present.
When did you make the switch, Becc?
I already gave you a Christmas present, Keenan.
You said it. You said when I made the switch. So now I'm just asking when it was.
October of 2020, roughly, give or take.
And how did you know it was then?
See what I did there? You see?
Yeah, I did. So how did you know that? How did you know that's when the switch happened?
Is just I could feel it in the room qualitatively with my prospects. They started opening up a lot more. That's how I knew. That was
really?
an indicator.
You saw a difference in your prospects.
I saw yes, I saw a difference in the conversations, and I also saw a difference in my comfort level in the room because I don't like to manipulate. I don't like it even if I did. I don't like myself afterwards. And so it made me feel a lot more comfortable on cold calls. Honestly, I know we have 5.5 minutes left, so I'm going to take 30 more seconds. Being a sales trainer, being an SDR trainer, you're at point blank range to some degree for your discovery and your cold calls and the emails that you send, because people are very fairly metricing you on, do they embody the principles that they say? How quality do I think this cold call is? How quality do I think this email is? How quality do I think this discovery is? And so there was a mounting pressure for me when people come in, as prospects, that I'm like, every question that I ask in this discovery absolutely matters. And so the pressure was super, super high for me. And I'm like, if I ask this in a certain way, So the relief for me that it brought, and a lagging indicator for me, was the relief that I felt in the room is when I switched to a diagnosis, like that is my main goal. All of a sudden, I wasn't even worried about, like, from a technique perspective, how I asked the question. I was worried that I couldn't get to the information, that I didn't have enough time to get to the information that I needed to diagnose. Sometimes you can go on a long diatribe and I'm like, but I still have 4 questions that I need the answer to because I got to figure out what you're saying, if it's correct. So once I flipped to like that mindset, there was a lot more relief in the room. But to answer your question, October of 2020, I want to say.
I like that. And when you say switch, was it something you did, or was it a mindset, or both?
It was a mindset shift. What changed for me, which I think this would be the encouraging thing, I believe would change for most sellers. It wasn't that I didn't want to do something different. I felt in the room for years. Now, there were better pieces of it, meaning when I was like pain selling, for instance, I felt really manipulative. That's why I almost quit sales. Then when I pivoted to, let's be personal, or let's have empathy, I'm like, it's still manipulative. You're showing people your personal traits or being vulnerable to get them to like you, to get you to buy, or complimenting them of like, you inspire me, da-da-da. Like, it still felt manipulative. But when I pivoted, it was a pivot of, I didn't know there was another option. Because to your point, I'm very serious. Like, I want to get straight to the point. And I didn't realize that there was a problem that I could be solving in the room And when I understood that, I'm a girl who took her LSAT for fun, right? I'm a girl who does Sudoku puzzles. Like, I just love it. You know, I'm like, give me a spreadsheet and like call it a day. Say toodles to me. So when I realized that option was on the table, all of a sudden discovery calls became really fun for me because I'm like, can I solve this problem quickly? Can I uncover things that they don't know that are going to hurt them? Then I felt like, hey, I've really actually got their back, because most of the time what they were self-diagnosing from a problem perspective, root cause, or prescription perspective was not correct in my opinion. Almost every call, there's something that's off. So once I felt that, like once I saw that option, and I believe that if sellers knew that that option was present too, they would pivot. But it's just that they don't know. Like, an example is today, I was training a team. They were basically like, hey, they ask a couple of questions, but they don't ask questions, dig deeper. And they're like, and we believe that they're not confident. I'm like, well, what are the questions that they're asking on these cold calls? Do you have a current provider? You know, yeah. Do you have a current provider? And is there any ongoing initiative to basically buy for this? And then they puddle out from there, and they're like, and they don't have confidence. I'm like, can I just be real with y'all for a second? They shouldn't. They shouldn't, with this line of, like, their body's telling them you shouldn't be confident because you don't have your buyer's back. Now, if you had the mindset and agenda of like, I want to find problems that they don't know about to help them, confidence, is it your confidence to close them and manipulate them? That one they should question. Or is it confidence that they can find a problem, or that confidence that there are problems that the buyer doesn't know about? Once I flipped to that, I'm like, throw confidence out the window. And I'm like, every call became like, how can I solve this puzzle? How can I solve this problem? Like, my sister has to intubate in 30 seconds. Otherwise, someone might die. That's her job. So it's like the same relative case scenario. I have 30 minutes to find out all the things that I need to know to help save them from doing something or not doing something that could impact their day.
All right, Keenan, you have 25 seconds.
The simple answer is, if they won't give you the information, politely say, hey, I appreciate you taking the time with us, but I'm uncomfortable making any recommendations or going further with this process because I am uncomfortable that I can offer the right solution, and I am not willing to do that. If they don't know the information, then you work with them very politely to say, how can we go get this? What can we do? What do we need to do to help you get this information?
It was when I met you, Keenan. Merry Christmas. It was when I met you.
Well, truth be known, I wasn't fishing for that. I figured it was a little time after that. I remember the very first time we met, and you were talking about some of your discoveries, and I think I even heard one, and I tried explaining that I didn't, because you felt to a certain degree you were problem-centric, so I don't know if you remember this or not. I remember exactly where I was standing, and I liked you, but I was trying my best to be political and still challenge you on the way you were looking at it. And then I remember I had either sat on a call or something like a month or two later, and I'm like, this is still product centric, and I don't know what you said about that. So I was really curious, genuinely curious, not looking for a compliment, how long or when it actually clicked for you and that you actually started changing up. Because you, like many people that I listen to and work with, I can tell you right now, 95% of people who read the book or I talk to say, I'm already doing it. And I know you're not. I absolutely positively know you're not. You just think you are.
I think the trigger that happened to me on top of the book, because I remember the conversation you're talking about. I was walking around outside and you said, have you read Gap Selling? I was like, yeah, I get it. And I had studied to some degree. I was like, yeah, there's a current state, there's a future state, there's a gap in between. It's where they want to go to where they are currently today. And you're like, yeah, it sounds simple, but like, da-da-da. Yeah. And the thing that changed for me, that might change for a lot of people on the line, if you are someone who it's ingrained in you to help, or it's ingrained in you to innate, like, help prevent people from making a mistake that they would know is a mistake. It came down to me for the unknown. Once you tack that as a mindset, that I'm almost going, and you hit on it a lot. I almost view Gap like exclusively as the unknown. That's what makes it so much fun for me, because I'm like, everyone says that they're helping their buyers, but then they pile into a webinar on what technique you can say to make the person feel more heard so that they're closed. And I'm like, that's not helping your buyer. That's helping your buyer, maybe if you're good, feel heard. So I'm like, the unknown to me, the things that they don't know that are hurting them, and the things that they didn't know that were existing at all, like those are the two buckets that help me love it, you know, like love it as a framework of like, okay, I am actually helping my buyer. And like 30-40% of the time, that means me turning them down because what they gave as a solution was SDR training services. And I'm like, that's not what you need. That's not what you need. So once that component, all of the ethics of selling were relieved for me of like, awesome. It's actually extremely ethical to sell, dependent on how you do it. 99.9% repeating aren't viewing it that way, you know. So anywho, that was the shift that helped me love being like good at selling, because I'm like, good is diagnosing. So I'm like, if I'm good at manipulating and good at pain and good at all that crap, I was good. That's why I almost quit. It's because people bought because of who I was, and I freaking hated that. Because I'm like, that's awful. That's awful to feel. So anywho, it's a long raid.
Hey, you know what?
Bled into rant.
Well, we still have our very last segment of this podcast, which is the rant, which is where Becc and Keenan give us their closing thoughts. So Keenan, why don't you start us off with your rant for today?
I am going to rant in a place that people tell you not to rant because it's unprofessional. They say never talk about politics or religion, but I'm going to kind of blend those together. My rant today is we are not nice enough to each other. Mm-hmm. We are just not nice enough to each other. There's a large contingency of this country who loses their shit because you say happy holidays. Happy holidays. So let me have a message to you, and anybody who loses their shit over this, fine. I don't want you following me, because my values are around everybody. Jewish, Christian, agnostic, atheist. Good on you, man. If you found a place that makes you happy, freaking awesome. Good for you. The reason I say happy holidays is because I respect my ignorance. I don't know if you celebrate Christmas. I don't know if you celebrate Hanukkah. I don't know what you celebrate. Mm-hmm. So out of respect for you, I am going to say happy holidays, because I believe that I am not the center of the universe. I believe that my belief systems are not any better or more profound than yours. And so therefore, I'm going to respect what you believe and acknowledge the fact that you may believe something different and honor you in that fashion. It is not an attack on Christmas. It is an attack on the idea that everybody celebrates Christmas, and if you don't, there's something wrong with you, or if you are uncomfortable being told Merry Christmas, there's something wrong with you. No, it's not that way. I want to celebrate everybody at this time. Everybody. We need more respect and love for people in this country and in this world, and there ain't enough of it. There you go.
All right. What about you, Becc? What is your rant for today?
By the way, I just got off a call with an entire Israeli-based team, and they're like, Merry Christmas, and they commented on my tree in the background. I'm like, see, that's what I'm like.
If I see a menorah, I'm going to say happy. I'm going to say Merry Christmas if I see a tree. I'm going to say happy Hanukkah if it's a menorah. But if I don't know, I'm not going to just label it Christmas.
I can shout them out. It's Ronnie over at Rightbound. You know, she's based in Tel Aviv, and she was like, Merry Christmas. And I'm like, you know, I don't know if she's Jewish or Messianic Jew. It's, you know, by blood, percentage wise, in terms of if they're Jewish or not. But point being, she wished me a Merry Christmas because that was my context, and it was clear that there was a tree. Anywho, my rant's going to be very short. And to Keenan's kind of point earlier, I'm trying to be really respectful here as much as I can. And I really mean that. I almost want to call this like guru guillotine. I've been seeing so much advice, and I'm going to put the agenda aside. Maybe they just don't know, but it's hard for me to watch. I saw basically a guide of 7 questions to ask your prospects that will make them close themselves. And I'm like, oh, here we are. And I'm going to read all these questions to you very quickly and then we'll end. But every one of them is a self-diagnosis question that's a technique question that says that it will help you sell better. So number 1, what excited you most about what we covered today? It's going to get brutal, Keenan. Saddle up, Santa.
Yeah, right.
Number 2, how does this compare to how you're doing it today? Number 3, to what extent do you envision this being useful in your situation? Number 4, how do you envision your team using this? Number 5, to what extent do you see this solving your business problem? Insert business problem. Number 6, it seems like this really resonated. Can you help me better understand why it resonated with you? And number 7, it seems like this didn't resonate as much as I thought it would. Where did I miss the mark? And let's put all this aside. It's manipulative technique, and it's asking intentionally the buyer to self-diagnose. And we have to stop. We have to stop doing that to our buyers. We need to gain the expertise as sellers. They think we're manipulative and sleazy. We need to prove them through our character and our work ethic and our understanding of their situation that they're wrong. And I think that they would welcome that. So that's my rant. No more self-diagnosis questions for anyone.
Can I add one piece of that lovely rant?
Yes.
It also what's the word?
Broadcasts.
Okay, I'll go with that. There's another word I was looking for. It actually also broadcasts the fact that you literally don't know anything about the organization, and so it calls into question why you're even recommending this. If you say something like, did this hit the mark? You should know if it hit the mark.
Right.
Literally, if I told you that I'm bleeding profusely and I did it this way and I hit it in rust and all that, and I say, okay, I'm going to stitch it up and then take a tetanus shot, I know that landed. I know that because I know how big the wound is and I know it was a rusty nail. I know. So I don't have to ask the question, does it seem like it would? So totally. Every one of those questions, it basically tells the buyer, and Mr. Salesperson, whoever wrote this, is probably a dude.
Guru.
Mr. Guru.
We should call it Guru Guillotine.
Guru Guillotine, right? Or Guru Bradley or whatever the guy you like, right? You basically just told the buyer you have absolutely no clue what's going on in their organization, and yet here you are trying to get them to buy. It's embarrassing. Great rant, Beck. Great rant. All right, so with that, I'm Keenan. You've been watching Top to Bottom.
And I am Beck. See you next week.